Look, I want you to think about something for a second. How much did you spend on stuff last month that you wanted but didn't really need? I'm not talking about your rent or your groceries. I'm talking about the third streaming service, the DoorDash orders when you had food in the fridge, the Amazon purchases that showed up and you thought, oh yeah, I forgot I ordered that. For most people, it's somewhere between $250 and $400 a month. And here's the thing, nobody thinks that matters. It's just life, right? It's how you treat yourself. It's how you stay sane. But what if I told you that this one habit, this completely invisible monthly spending pattern, is the difference between retiring comfortably and working until you're 70? What if I told you that $300 a month, redirected properly, doesn't just build wealth, it builds generational wealth? Yeah, we need to talk about this. My name is David, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who make good money still feel broke. If you're someone who earns a decent income but can't figure out why your bank account doesn't reflect it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about small amounts of money. And I'm going to show you the exact math, the real math, that proves why $300 a month is the most powerful financial tool you're currently ignoring. Here's what most people don't realize. We're really bad at tracking small recurring expenses, like embarrassingly bad. There's a study from the Journal of Consumer Research that found people underestimate their monthly discretionary spending by an average of 30%. 30%! So if you think you're spending $200 a month on extras, you're probably spending closer to $260 or more. And that's not because you're irresponsible. It's because our brains literally aren't wired to track small, frequent transactions. Think about it. You buy a $6 coffee here, a $15 lunch there, a $40 impulse purchase on a slow Tuesday. None of it feels significant. But here's the thing. Insignificant purchases made repeatedly become extremely significant. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say you spend $10 a day on what I call financial noise, stuff that doesn't move the needle on your happiness or your goals. Could be coffee, could be snacks, could be mobile game purchases, whatever. $10, no big deal, right? That's $300 a month, $3,600 a year. Now, you might be thinking, okay, David, sure, but $3,600 isn't going to change my life. And that's where you're wrong, because you're thinking about money like a snapshot when you need to be thinking about it like a movie. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's take that same $300 a month and instead of spending it on stuff you'll forget about in a week, you invest it. Just basic, boring index fund investing, nothing fancy. The S&P 500 has historically returned about 10% annually over the long term. Let's be conservative and say 8% to account for inflation and down years. If you invest $300 a month at an 8% average annual return for 30 years, which is, by the way, a totally achievable time frame if you start in your 30s, you know what you end up with? $447,000. Yeah, almost $500,000 from $300 a month. But wait, because here's where people mess up the math. They think, well, I contributed $108,000 over 30 years, so the market only made me an extra $339,000. And they treat that like it's not a big deal. But that $339,000 is a 314% return on your money. You literally more than tripled what you put in. That's not just good. That's the difference between a comfortable retirement and scraping by on Social Security. Now let me show you what happens if you push this just a little further. Let's say you find an extra $100 a month. Maybe you cancel 2 subscriptions you don't use. Maybe you meal prep twice a week instead of ordering out. Whatever. Now you're at $400 a month. Same 30 years, same 8% return. You end up with $596,000. And if you can get to $500 a month, which, look, I know isn't easy, but stay with me, you're at $745,000. You see what's happening here? We're not talking about becoming a millionaire by winning the lottery or starting the next tech unicorn. We're talking about making small, unsexy decisions repeatedly over time. That's it. That's the whole game. Here's the thing, though. Intellectually, everyone understands compound interest. You've probably seen charts like this before. But emotionally, we don't process it. And there's a reason for that. Behavioral economists call this hyperbolic discounting. Basically, our brains are wired to value immediate rewards way more than future rewards, even when the future rewards are objectively better. It's why a $300 shopping spree today feels better than $447,000 in 30 years, even though that makes zero logical sense. There's also something called mental accounting, where we treat different pools of money differently based on arbitrary categories we create. So the $300 you spend on fun stuff doesn't feel like the same $300 you could invest, even though it's literally the exact same money. And then there's the big one, lifestyle creep. You know what I'm talking about. You get a raise. You think, finally, I can start saving more. But instead, your spending just expands. You upgrade your apartment. You buy a nicer car. You start shopping at Whole Foods instead of Trader Joe's. And suddenly, even though you're making $10,000 more a year, you're not saving any more than you were before. According to a survey by the American Psychological Association, 64% of people who received a raise said their increased income disappeared into higher spending within 6 months. 64%! This is why most people never build wealth, not because they don't make enough money, but because they don't keep enough money. All right, so I promised you we'd get to $1 million, and we're at $745,000. Let me show you how we get the rest of the way. First option, time. If you invest $500 a month for 35 years instead of 30, you end up with $1,034,000. There's your million. You just needed 5 more years. Second option, increase your contributions over time. Let's say you start at $300 a month, but every year you increase it by just $25. That's $300 in year 1, $325 in year 2, $350 in year 3, and so on. Over 30 years, you'd contribute about $262,000 total, and you'd end up with $1,082,000. Third option, employer match. If you're putting this into a 401k and your employer matches even 50% of your contributions, you're instantly boosting your monthly investment without changing your personal spending. $300 of your money plus $150 of their money is $450. Over 30 years, $670,000. Not quite $1 million, but combine this with a modest increase over time and you're there. Fourth option, and this is the one people sleep on, start earlier. If you're 25 instead of 35, that extra 10 years is massive. $300 a month from age 25 to 65, that's 40 years, gets you to $1,036,000. You see how flexible this is? There are multiple paths to the same destination. The common thread isn't luck. It's not timing the market. It's not finding the perfect stock. It's consistently putting money to work instead of spending it on stuff that doesn't matter. Now, you might be thinking, David, this is great in theory, but I need that $300 a month. I'm not just wasting it. And look, I get it. For some people, every dollar is accounted for, and there's no wiggle room. If that's you, this video might not be for you right now. But I'd encourage you to audit your spending for 30 days and be brutally honest about what's actually necessary versus what's habitual. Because here's the reality. Most people who say they can't afford to save $300 a month are the same people spending $8 on coffee every workday, $60 on streaming services they barely use, and $150 on impulse purchases they forget about. I'm not judging. I'm just saying the money is usually there. It's just hiding. Another objection, but I want to enjoy my life now. What's the point of being rich when I'm 65? Fair question, and here's my answer. This isn't about depriving yourself, it's about being intentional. There's a huge difference between spending $300 a month on things that genuinely bring you joy and $300 a month on autopilot. The goal isn't to never spend money. The goal is to make sure the money you spend is buying something you actually care about. And for most people, when they really examine their spending, they find a ton of stuff that doesn't pass that test. All right, let's make this practical. Here's exactly what you do. Step 1, track your spending for 30 days. Every dollar. Use an app like Mint or YNAB, or just a simple spreadsheet. You need to see where your money is actually going, not where you think it's going. Step 2, identify your financial noise. These are the recurring expenses that don't align with your values or goals. Subscriptions you don't use, food delivery when you have groceries, impulse purchases that provide 10 minutes of dopamine and then collect dust. Cut or reduce 3 things, not everything, just 3. If you cut $100 a month in financial noise, you're a third of the way to $300. Step 4, automate your investment. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a Roth IRA or a brokerage account on the day you get paid. $300 a month. Don't think about it, don't negotiate with yourself, just make it automatic. Step 5, invest in a low-cost index fund, something like VTSAX or an S&P 500 fund. You're not trying to beat the market, you're trying to match it. Over time, that's more than enough. Step 6, increase your contributions annually. Every time you get a raise, every time you pay off a debt, redirect at least half of that money toward your investments. This is how you accelerate the timeline. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Most people will watch this video, nod along, think, yeah, that makes sense, and then do absolutely nothing. They'll go back to spending $300 a month on stuff they don't remember and wonder why they're not getting ahead. But you don't have to be most people. The difference between financial mediocrity and financial freedom isn't your income, it's not your background, it's not luck. It's the small, boring, unsexy decisions you make every single day. It's choosing to invest $10 today instead of spending it, and then doing it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. $300 a month doesn't feel like it matters, but over 30 years, it's the difference between having options and having regrets. So here's my challenge. Find your $300. Cut the noise, automate the investment, and then, this is the hard part, forget about it. Let time and compound interest do what they do best, because the best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. If this video helped you see money differently, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you're cutting from your budget to find your $300. I read every single one, and I want to hear your plan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.